the advantages of value-added learning opportunities in initial teacher education.
Thank you so much. No, I've waited patiently as my device crashed, so I'm actually on my colleague's device. So I wanted to check, number one, you could hear me, and number two, that I'm just going to share my screen.
Yes, we can hear you.
Super.
And screen shares there.
Perfect. That's great. First
need
hurdle
to put
overcome.
it into the slides. Slide two.
Here we go. Okay. There we are. Okay, just double check you can see that because it's a slightly different device to mine. Yes?
Yes, we can see that.
Perfect, thank you so much. Okay, good afternoon. My name's Alytia Brown and I work as a lecturer in the School of Education. Today I'm going to share with you a personal observation of the impact of a value-added learning experience in initial teacher education. I'll discuss the observed advantages of this opportunity and, whilst incidental, how value-added learning opportunities actually help to achieve CQU's goals in relation to our pillars. So that's our students, our research, our people, our communities, our reputation and our sustainability, as outlined in the Strategic Plan 2019 to 2023. So as educators, we're all aware of the paramount importance of equipping our students with professional preparedness. One of the ways that we can achieve this is through what Simmons calls a learning ecology, encompassing industry, community, professionals, teachers, users and researchers. And I believe CQU courses have well-structured and supported learning ecologies, with many of our courses having work-related learning integrated. However, I often feel in provided mandated work-related environments, students can become limited to or limit themselves to a prescriptive professional experience. And this can create a barrier to engaging in and with value-added learning opportunities due to the perception that their course of study provides all the professional preparedness that they'll require. Nonaka and Toyerman, 2003, highlight that making connections with additional stakeholders is key to having true context to the learning that's being delivered. As educators, we understand that the opportunity to relate the theory to the real-world concepts through exposure to an array of environments and professionals is of paramount importance. So, in order to promote this exposure, second-year Bachelor of Education students in Bundaberg were given the opportunity to visit a special assistance school and meet with professional staff. This opportunity allowed the students to gain knowledge and understanding of how an alternative education environment supports students that have disengaged from mainstream education. The students got the opportunity to meet with the principal via a Zoom meeting first and find out more about the way the school operates. Students were then invited to the site to meet with the principal in person and meet with staff and find out more about what is taught at the school and the resources available. And you can actually see here, this was part of our visit. We went to the agricultural facility that they actually had on site, and as we were touring around, you can see we had a not so little visitor come to join us, which was interesting. So Bront van Brenner, 1992, devised the ecological systems theory to explain how a child's development is affected by the environment and internal qualities. If we replace the child with a developing teacher entering the new sphere of the teaching profession, we can identify 4 systems nested within the ecological systems theory model. The first is the microsystem, so that is the student's home and relationships that they have with their immediate family. Just here. So university attendance would actually form part of a student's microsystem. The mesosystem is the interactions of the 2 microsystems, for example, value placed on university study within the immediate family. The exosystem is the external environment which indirectly influences the students, for example, part-time work and university studies. Often these elements aren't linked for students, but both will have an impact on each other and the student. Mandated work integrated placements would sit within the exosystem. And the macro system is the larger socio-cultural context, and this is where the learning that would take place from value-added learning opportunities outside of the formal curriculum would sit. So this is where students would develop a greater understanding of connections beyond the classroom. Students develop their aptitudes and attitudes looking at the bigger picture of education, and this is the knowledge and understanding that enhances their development as professionals. So let's have a look at the benefits of this value-added learning opportunity in relation to our pillars. And you'll see here, we've got the pillars outlined and actually some of our strategic goals underneath in relation to the observed advantages from this experience. So the first one, when we look at our students as a pillar, one of the goals that we have at CQU is to develop an innovative, student-centered curriculum characterized by the embedding of authentic work-based learning and in order to address the evolving future workforce. So the first benefit that I observed from this experience was the opportunity for students to listen to a holistic view of education from an inspirational principle. This was particularly timely to students in their second year of study, as much of the learning and assessment often focuses on the curriculum. Students become quite bogged down in curriculum requirements and actually forget that a student-centered approach within all educational establishments is critical for successful teaching and learning. It was also interesting to hear kind of developments taking place within the profession. So, for example, the increase in referrals to students for alternative educational arrangements as well, and for students to have an awareness of possibilities for future employment avenues. Another goal that we have is to deliver holistic student support that addresses the unique needs and overall well-being of our students. So the second benefit was that students built professional networks with staff, for example, exchanging current teaching resources that are often scarce in skill-based learning courses such as hospitality environments. Building these professional networks and relationships saw one student have an affirmation of career choice after experiencing a disconnect on their first mandated placement. Value-added learning opportunities give students the opportunity to identify niche career paths that fit often with their intrinsic motivation and desired career goals. And lastly, under the pillar of our students, one of the goals for CQU is to provide courses that are informed by our research and collaboration with industry and government to meet the emerging workforce needs of our community. I would say one of the most powerful observations was the increase in professional and personal confidence within the students. The students that participated were mature age by comparison to the rest of the cohort, and often these students would refer to themselves as feeling out of the educational loop by comparison to their younger counterparts. However, the principal reiterated the importance of being able to think on their feet and adapt, and they were using examples of going into one of the catering lessons and there had been an incident and, you know, you have to switch your lesson plan. We can no longer use knives. What are we going to do? How do we draw on our professional experience that we have? This was like a light bulb moment for these students, actually realizing that they had the advantage with the background of their industry knowledge and their life experiences, that they actually had this adaptability and the ability to think on their feet. The next pillar I'm going to actually have a look at in relation to the benefits observed is our research. So one of the goals is to increase our research productivity, quality and relevance through collaborative initiatives with government, community and industry. As an early career academic, value-added opportunities have drawn synergies between my everyday practice and scholarly activity. So basically thinking about how do we make the two work together, and this has given rise to future questions that I'd like to research and explore. For example, what factors actually influence students' perceptions of volunteer opportunities? Next, we look at our people as a pillar, and two of the goals that we actually have are to encourage and enable staff to be engaged broadly and contribute beyond their immediate responsibilities, build the capacity of our teaching workforce, enabling them to remain at the cutting edge of educational delivery through our commitment to scholarship-informed teaching and learning. So having observed some of the benefits that I've just discussed, I did wonder how as university staff can we facilitate more of these opportunities? As Bloomfield 2009 actually identifies, time constraints are one of the greatest barriers to organising and engaging with these opportunities. I would say that actually in investing the time, this has really allowed me to build stronger relationships with the students I not only teach but supervise out on placement. This investment of time and additional exposure to alternative environments should build stronger and more knowledgeable pre-service teachers within our schools. As academics, these productive and engaging working partnerships with stakeholders enrich and keep our practice current, and also open doors for industry experts to give future talks about niche topics that are often hard to find. In terms of our communities, our two goals that I was able to identify and actually look at some of our advantages of this opportunity in relation to were optimise and expand our presence and impact through partnerships with our communities, and increase staff engagement in external community initiatives. By creating work-ready graduates with can-do attitudes, we build a positive impression with our local schools, opening doors for future opportunities to support our students. For example, our students are going to go back to the Special Assistance School to facilitate with lessons in their areas of expertise in November. In addition, having strong positive teachers as role models and positive word of mouth from current students, this has a really big impact in regional communities. A powerful subliminal message is actually sent to young influential minds about career choices and opportunities that they have to study at CQU. So then we look at our reputation as a pillar and the goal to enhance the university's reputation globally. These observed benefits are what Brown and Hesk 2004 refer to as personal capital, so the experience, skills and attributes that graduate employers desire. Students gaining study-related employment after graduation is a powerful indicator of the successful educational establishment. And students that have a positive experience actually studying with us are far more likely to return in the future as returning students. Finally, sustainability from an organisational perspective. So from a university-wide perspective, with a stronger student relationship comes a greater retention of students. So as the learning ecology continually changes, especially as we've seen in recent times, CQU can actually respond and adapt to the industry requirements by working in true partnerships. For example, sourcing additional placements that might be needed for students. By valuing and supporting these additional opportunities of additional professional exposure, we actually make the knowledge that we deliver meaningful and relevant. I think hopefully today what's been highlighted is the importance of the on-the-ground day-to-day work that we do as professionals. It was interesting, I was having a conversation with my colleague today about these presentations, and she said, I don't feel like my presentation is revolutionary, but I think what this actually shows is what's really important is what we all do on a day-to-day basis that actually builds towards achieving our strategic goals as a university to be Australia's most accessible, supportive and engaging university, recognised globally for innovative teaching and research excellence. Did anybody have any questions at all?
You did very nicely timing that, Alytia.
Oh, it's so difficult when you're not on your own device as well. Everything's kind of like shifted the other way. But I was so grateful for somebody else's device, so I can't complain.
Yeah. Any questions for Alytia? She whizzed through a lot of stuff there. So overall, going back to the students going out to on that field trip, I'll use that term, it wasn't the one you used. What was their responses to that? How did they?
Oh, they have really enjoyed it, so much so, as I said, they've continued the relationship not only with the school, so they're going back out in November, which they're really excited about, but also with some of the professionals and actually building their networks, being able to share resources with like-minded students as well. It was such an interesting experience in terms of just standing back and watching, as I said, these couple of students in particular, their change in motivation, their confidence grew because suddenly they thought, oh, okay, my prior experience, my industry experience, actually stands me in really good stead for a lot of other environments as well. So the opportunity to talk on a one-to-one basis with staff and principals about that was really, really good. Often schools are so busy, students kind of hit the ground running, get in, and there's not the opportunity to stand back and, really, I suppose, have those conversations and form those relationships.
Any questions for Alytia? No? Yeah, just as you were speaking then, my thought was around it's interesting in talking about your students and what they've achieved. How do we do that for staff? How do we get people engaged in talking about their discipline, profession, and that sort of stuff, and really being engaged in that broader bit around seeing how they bring value? So that's
and I think time as well. It's a time factor, and really, I think recognizing that as professionals, sometimes we have to give a little bit more to gain a lot in terms of those relationships that you form with students that you'll then work with, over the 4 years, even down to, a bigger picture, looking at retention as well, improved professionals that are out within our schools that then in turn put their hand up a couple of years later and say, yes, we'd love to have a student teacher. So it's really kind of taking a step back and seeing the benefits of what we perceive are quite, I suppose, incidental opportunities, but actually they really do form to our bigger picture of success.
Okay, thank you, Alytia.
Thank you.